Hello guys and welcome back. Let's start refactoring the code by moving most of the code to services. So I'm going to go back to the app component. Let's first create a service and I'm going to call it auth this time. So let's create that service using Angular CLI. And let's also go back to the app module and add this as a provider to the providers array. Auth service, and let's import it at the top like so and save that. Now inside the auth service I will be injecting Angular Fire Auth as a dependency. So let's create an instance of that. Private Angular Fire Auth. Let's simply call this AF Auth, and that's it. Now we will be creating a few methods for logging in. So first sign in, and we would be expecting two things in here. So first one would be the mode and the second one would be the provider. So let's open up the environment.ts file, and in here I will be specifying two things. So modes, and these modes can either be via pop-up, so pop-up and redirect like so. Then we will have providers. So we'll just have about 4 providers as of now, because we won't be needing any other provider, as there would be separate methods for phone, email and password, as well as anonymous sign-ins. So for Google, then we would need it for Facebook, for Twitter, and for GitHub. Alright, now inside the app service I'll be getting two things. I'd be getting the mode and the provider. So mode, which is going to be of type string, and provider again, which is going to be of type string. Alright, I'm going to have a private method for get provider instance. We are going to get a provider here, which is again going to be of type string, and this is going to return a provider, so, or a provider instance. So let's create a provider instance variable here, and now I'll be switching case with respect to provider. Now in a case when the provider is environment dot providers dot Google, I would need to assign the provider instance as a new auth dot Google okay, this would be af auth dot Google Auth provider, or let's see what this is going to be. So this is going to be auth dot Google Auth provider. Now I don't really have auth in place right now, so that's something that I'll be injecting. Import auth from AngularFire 2 /auth, or should it be app? Let's go to the app component. In here we have imported auth from Firebase, so that's where we have to import this from. Alright, so the auth provider here, and I'll break as well. Then I'll replicate this case for 4 more providers. So the same would be for Facebook, in which case I need Facebook auth provider. Then I'll have the same for Twitter, in which case I need Twitter auth provider, and for GitHub I need GitHub auth provider. Alright, now let's also create a default case wherein the provider instance would be new auth dot Google Auth provider, and break, and we are returning the auth instance from here. Alright, so now that we are done, based on the mode, so if the mode is equal to environment dot modes dot popup, then I need to call this dot af auth dot auth dot sign in with popup, and I'll call the get provider instance over here, and I'll pass it the provider that I got from here. Else I'm going to call this method with sign in with redirect, like so. Okay, and both these methods are going to return a promise with user credentials, so it would just do the trick. And let's save this, and I'm going to go back to the app component, and I'll get rid of all these methods here. I'll just make a method named sign in with mode and provider, and this would give me the mode and the provider in the form of a string, and then I'm simply going to inject the auth service here. So auth service, and let's bring that down like so. Alright, now I'll call this dot auth dot sign in. I'll pass in the mode as well as the provider. Now all I have to do is shadowed name. Okay, so let's call this auth service, and I'll just replace that name here. Now at this point I'm also going to create two variables in here for modes and for providers. So providers is going to be environment dot, the environment was not from prod, so environment dot providers, and for modes it would be equal to environment dot modes. I'll just get rid of this. And now that we have the providers and modes variables in here, let's simply go back to the app component, and in here let's open up these two columns. And now instead of calling all these methods, I'll simply call the sign in with mode and provider method. So let's quickly do that. Okay, now for the mode I will have a pop-up, modes dot pop-up, and for provider I'll have providers dot. Now for this one I'll have Google. For this one I will have Facebook. For this one I'll have Twitter, and for this one I'll have GitHub. Now the pop-up is also, I guess, in uppercase, so let's fix that like so. Alright, let's go back to this column now, and let's change that. Let's just copy the name of this method only. And paste that in. Now instead of pop-up this would be redirect, and these would again change, so this would be Google, this would be Facebook, this would be Twitter, and finally this one would be GitHub, like it is. Let's save that and go back to the application to see how it's working. So I'm going to cancel this, and let's log in with Google, and it should take some time, but it should log us in properly, and it did that. Let's log out. Let's test this out with GitHub redirect. And it took me to the details page. Okay, so it's working as expected, and for the same reason now we don't really need these 8 methods, so I'll get rid of all those methods like so. Okay, Now for these methods though, I would be needing them, but ideally I should have these methods as well inside the auth service, so I will be moving that as a part of the next video. I'll see you guys in there.